criticize the team's analytics. I can criticize the team's prioritization of analytics. I want one thing really clear. I'm not criticizing analytics. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. The Pirates open a 3-game series tonight in Minneapolis. They have, of course, lost 7 in a row after winning 6 in a row. There are 3 more games on this trip and leading into the All-Star break. And I want to take a bit of a pause from the general discourse here and attempt to make the really bold case that no, I'm not an idiot. No, I don't hate math. And no, I'm not some kind of weirdo who opposes analytics in sports. And I think at this point in the year 2025, you've almost got to be, to some extent, either a weirdo or just unaware of the legitimate and largely positive impact that analytics have had. Everyone is smarter for them. Everyone is better prepared for them. Everyone has to use their noggin a little bit more, regardless of the sport. And I'm okay with all of that. Always have been, always will be. And I began with this mindset a long time ago before it became the thing that took over. If you've been reading my baseball coverage in particular over the years, you'll know that I've used some of the advanced analytics, the funny acronym ones, in my general coverage way before you were seeing that stuff in places other than Fangraphs. So I want to make this separation really distinct, that I can criticize Ben Cherington's application of analytics. I can criticize his approach to analytics without that being some numbskulled assault on math. Case in point, in a recent game, this was before the ongoing trip, I'm purposely going to leave names out of this, a decision was made to pinch hit one batter for another. This came from the Pittsburgh dugout. This absolutely positively did not align with the analytics. Not even the simplest of analytics, meaning batter versus pitcher history. Nothing. This was a feel thing. This was a gut thing. This was a time of game thing. This was a personality thing. The hitter that was sent out there did, in fact, come through. Even if the hitter hadn't come through, it's okay to do stuff like that, just as it's okay to consider the history or to consider the more advanced stuff. How does your guy do against lefties with sharp changeups? What kind of hit, what kind of plate appearance do you need right now? Do you just need somebody to get on base? Do you need somebody to come up with the big hit? All of that can be factored into analytics. All of it is factored into analytics. They can help. What they can't do, and please understand me on this, is become all-encompassing. They can't take over the role of the field manager, or for that matter, the general manager. There has to be an open mind in the process. If you think I'm about to say something like there has to be a human element to it or whatever, no, I'm not going to get that lame on you. There has to be an open mind. There has to be an open consideration of all possibilities, including the memories of those baseball people in the dugout, the feel of those baseball people in the dugout. And while I'm at it, the feel of that batter in the box or that pitcher on the mound. Because what ends up happening, and what did happen to the Pirates whenever the GM and the manager were completely on the same page, meaning, of course, Cherington and Derek Shelton, is you lost that. You lost that open mind, and then you lose the active mind. You lose the imaginative mind. You lose the emotional mind. I've reported to you that some veteran players believe that Shelton checked out. That's their term. They use that all the time. Way back in spring training. Well, what's that mean? He was spending extra time at the beach or whatever? No, of course not. What it means is that he just didn't have to invest himself into anything. Why? All the answers were provided to him every day. He was not using it as guidance. He was being ruled by it. Whereas the correct approach, and I honestly don't think he'd mind a bit if I told on him because it's been a few years now, there were days where Clint Hurdle just didn't want anything to do with the analytics. The team would be struggling. The team would be in a funk. He just felt like he needed to do something from the heart. And one day in his office at PNC Park, one of the white-collared geeks comes in and sets this phone book-sized thing of information to help prepare the manager for the game that night. Seriously, it was dropped on his desk with a thud. Well, Clint, as only he could, just reached across the desk, picked this thing up, and dropped it from 5 feet down into his wastebasket. And the thud was almost as loud as the laughter in the room. I wasn't the only one in there. Did he benefit from the analytics? Yes. Did he value the analytics? Yes. Did he allow them to take over as manager? No. This manager isn't doing that either. Not because they're the enemy, not because they're wrong, but because he can't keep his own mind open if he's allowing somebody or something to dictate to him what he should be doing. That's my problem with the analytics. When we come back, J1Q. If you're looking for a great dining experience, look no further than North Shore Tavern, located directly across Federal Street from PNC Park, next door to Mike's Beer Bar. North Shore Tavern is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. Enjoy your steak finished on a hot lava stone in front of you, where you ensure each piece is cooked to exactly your liking. Or try their rotating selection of entrees, hot sandwiches, salads, and burgers, all while enjoying the ambiance dedicated to the great players and history of the Pittsburgh Pirates all around you. Come see why everyone's talking about North Shore Tavern and steak on a stone.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragechek.org. That's gunstoragechek.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from Jim Berggren, and it comes in on Spotify's new commenting platform. Welcome to those of you who've been sending comments or J1Q submissions through Spotify. I can promise you I'm reading all of them everywhere. I've been doing business that way for a long time. Jim says, DK, how quickly do you think a new general manager could turn the organization around? Not the major league team, because that'd be easy, I would think, just to go get a few bats. But from top to bottom, how long would it take a new GM to see substantial organizational improvement? I love the separation that you put in there, Jim, because it's so necessary. You're right about the major league team. I believe that. Not a lot of people do. I believe that if you brought in 2 or 3 impact bats in the context of how few runs the Pirates need to win a game, given their pitching, you could turn around certainly the feel, if not necessarily the reality at the major league level. You also could take some pressure off guys who are in that lineup now who feel like every time they're in the box, they need to hit a 7-run homer. As we saw in that long ago 6-game winning streak, just a few days ago, when a couple guys start hitting, everybody can start hitting. But the organization, that's different. That's where anybody who's a GM worthy of that modern role, and doubly so when it's a team that doesn't spend much like the Pirates, they'd have to go and pick apart everything. I mean, really pick it apart. I'm talking about going down and spending time in the Dominican. I'm talking about getting overseas to where your international scouts are, whether it's South Korea or Australia. China now is a player. My goodness, there's somebody pitching right now in professional baseball out of South Sudan. Europe, you've got to be everywhere. It's not just, go to the Dominican Republic or go to Puerto Rico or go to Venezuela. You've you've got to hit all of it. You've got to scour the globe for talent. You've also got to scour the country for talent. You've got to scour everybody else's system for talent. You've got to scour everybody's big league roster so that it doesn't, hit you like a ton of bricks when Brian De La Cruz shows up and can't hit. When all you needed to do that day that he was acquired at the deadline was check marlinsmessageboard.com to find out that anybody on there could have told you he wasn't about to help. This is the part that you have to rebuild. Now, as soon as somebody hears that word, they're going to break out in hives. There's not going to be a rebuild here. Bob Nutting wants nothing to do with a rebuild. I'm not guessing at that. He's not going to accept a GM who would come in and insist upon one. These positions are way too precious. You either take it or you don't. There's only 30 of them in the entire solar system, and only a couple of them become open in any given year. Nobody is that important that they can make demands in advance. Now, on that note, I've heard from people who should be considered candidates. Hear from them pretty regularly, actually, because this is also part of the process. They want to get the lay of the land. They want to get the feel for what the situation is on the ground in a place where they could envision an opening coming soon. So that's kind of the way that back and forth works, meaning between someone like that and a reporter. They can give me information, I can share information with them, and both benefit to a degree. These individuals, Jim, and I don't mean to paint them all with one color here, but they are of the belief that at the Pittsburgh level, this situation can be turned around bang like that. And it's for the same reason you said, Jim. No research was required. All you have to do is look. Oh, they don't score runs, but they also don't give up runs? But the rest of it, that's where your real GM-ness gets tested. And I will remind that this part was supposed to be Charrington's strength rather than his greatest weakness. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates, and we'll be back with another one of these on Monday.